And today we're going over the Praxis teaching reading 5205 and 5206. I apologize for my delay. I was having problems with the screen share option, and I have to be able to share my screen in order to teach you guys this content. So I had to log out and log back in, and that took about a minute. So anyways, good. Looks like people can hear me, see me. Awesome. Thank you for your patience. I'm running about 3 minutes behind. So sorry. We are live on social media and in our Vimeo webinar. So if you're here inside of the webinar, you have the free study guide and you are able to chat with me inside of the webinar. If you're watching me on social media, which I'm just checking really quick to see if we are here. If you're with me on social media, then you know that you can click the link in the description and grab all of the resources we will be talking about today. So I'm really excited to be here with you guys. This is a very popular exam. Lots of people use this exam to get certified in K-12 education. We are going to be focusing on the 5205 and the 5206. So the 5205 is teaching reading for elementary education. So that's going to be all of you guys from K through 6. And the 5206 is going to be from K through 12. So you're going to have all the elementary examples, and you're also going to have high school and middle school examples. So in that free study guide that I gave you guys today, you're going to see that there are elementary examples and there are middle school examples and high school examples. Okay, I just have to give me 1 second. Talk amongst yourselves. I need to make sure I am live on Facebook, which I am not at the moment. So talk amongst yourselves. Ask me a couple questions in the chat really quickly. And I just want to make sure I'm live on Facebook because a lot of people find us there. So looks like we should be good. And yes, okay, here we go. All right, there we go. All right, so someone is saying, I don't know why I have to take this test. Willie Fordham. Thank you, Willie, for your statement. Because a lot of people talk about that. Why do I have to take the Praxis 5205? I'm a math teacher. I'm a social studies teacher. I don't know why I have to take a reading exam. Well, since the late 2000s, there has been a huge focus on reading instruction for all content area teachers. So that includes your elementary education teachers, but it also includes your middle and high school teachers, especially those who teach content areas like social studies and science. It is the position of many states that everyone is a reading teacher. And I know math teachers take issue with this, and I get why, because you guys are focused mainly on math. But states want their teachers to be certified in reading. And so it's really, really important that we are trained in reading. Now, they don't really train you in reading instruction. They just make you take a test in reading instruction because it's bureaucracy. And they're like, we'll just make everybody take the test. And if they pass the test, boom, they're certified in reading. Okay. So that's why you have to take the test. It is bureaucracy, and bureaucracy is alive and well in K-12 education. So just kind of, if you're new to teaching, just settle in, because there's going to be a lot of things that you don't understand why you have to do, but that is the nature of the job. But I get it. I'm becoming a special ed teacher, and this is the Praxis that they use to license. Well, that makes sense. Oh, they don't use the 5543 in Virginia. Okay. Well, they're very similar. It's about this test, the 5205 and the 5206 are about helping struggling learners, especially those who struggle in reading, and also the foundational skills for reading. So today, I'm very excited to announce I have a brand new 5206 book. This is for the K-12 reading. And of course, I have the old tried and true 5205 elementary education book. But this one's new because so many people kept asking, where's the 5206? And I only had this one. So I now have this one. So we will be doing some questions from both. The new free study guide that comes with this webinar, we have a mix of both. And I have 2 constructed response questions to go over at the end, because I know the constructed response is where people have a difficult time. All right. So let's talk really quickly about what we are going to do today. So let me share entire screen. I'm so glad I got the screen share fixed. Okay. Oops. Let's go here. All right. So this is the free study guide that you have with the webinar today. When you signed up for the webinar, you were able to download this study guide. Now, if you don't have it in front of you, no big deal. It's fine. Just follow along with me. My presentation has a couple of problems from this, and then you can download this later. If you're watching us on Facebook or YouTube, then you can download this later as well. You can click the link in the description and you can get it there. So, but just follow along here today. It's more important, just like we say as teachers, it's more important that you listen to me right now rather than fumble around with your materials to try to find your paper. Okay. So that's my request today. Now, this is an abbreviated version of the giant study guide. And so we have the 5205 study guide here. And I forgot to pull up the 5206. Let me see if I can. It's not in my, I'm going to have to pull it up in a second. But this is the 5205. The 5206 is very similar, but you can see it's all broken down by content category. Then there are practice problems after each content category. You know, there's a lot of information here in this book. And then, of course, we have 2 practice tests at the end with lots and lots of questions. And this is the same for the 5206. And then I don't want to make you dizzy. Let me go to the constructed response section. Hang on. Of course, we have detailed answer explanations. Answer explanations are very important. And we have very comprehensive constructed response tasks and sample responses for you. Okay. This is a big test. We want to make sure that you're prepared for it. You can certainly use our free stuff. Lots of people use our free stuff and they use our YouTube channel and stuff like that. But if you need more support, we do have now 2 study guides, the 5206 and the 5205 here. Now, beyond that, let me just, that's my all over the place here. Sorry about that. Now, beyond that, we do have an online course that's very helpful. If you're interested in getting these things, just so you know, we will be sending you an email at the end of this webinar. And you will get an offer code and access to all of this stuff. I'm just kind of pointing it out to you in the beginning. And I have my colleague Yana in the chat to help answer any questions and to give you guys an offer code. Somebody's asking, how long will it take to get it if I order the 5205? All right, let's talk about that really quickly. On our website, you can get access to your study guides immediately because they are digital. Now you can see here, if you go to our programs, Praxis Teaching Reading, we have the 5205. We do have an online course for the 5205. I'm working on the online course for the 5206. But if you want your book immediately, buy the digital copy, and you do that by buying through our website. As soon as you pay for the digital copy, it's emailed to you right away. So you will get it right away. Make sure you check the email that you use to purchase. Some people have a different email that they use to purchase, and it goes to like a email account you rarely check. Okay. So make sure you check that. And then if you have any issues with that, we can help you. But if you prefer a physical copy, you can just click that button and it'll take you to Amazon, and you can buy it here on Amazon Prime. Now you are getting a offer code with this webinar today that will work on our website. Unfortunately, we cannot give discounts on Amazon KDP. They are the publisher of the physical copy, and there's no way to give discounts on my dashboard for that. I wish there were. Even during Black Friday, when I want to reduce prices, I can't do it on Amazon. Otherwise, I have to unpublish the book, republish it, which causes a lot of problems. But you can see we have tons of 5-star ratings. We have a lot of 5-star ratings on our website as well for these books. This is one of our best programs. I know a lot about this test, and I was a reading teacher, so that's really something that I know a lot about. Now, beyond that, you can purchase the online course, and the online course looks like this. Let me just pull this up really quickly. If you are someone who needs a lot of support in this area, you don't know a lot about teaching, you're brand new to teaching, you need help, you can get the online course, and you can see it comes with the digital study guide. You're going to get the full digital study guide. And then in each content category, there's an overview here. And then there's a category quiz with the 10 questions, and then a category quiz explanation where I go through why the answers are correct and incorrect. We do that for every single thing. Of course, you have the 2 practice tests at the end of the study guide. And then we have, content category 5. This is or 6. This is assessment. And of course, lots of constructed response questions there for you. And I go through that there. So if you are interested in the online course, you can go back to here to online courses and you can grab the 5205. If you are looking for the 5206 online course, I'm not done with it yet, but you could use the 5205. They're very similar exams, okay? All right, that's enough selling for now. Let me go ahead and get into here. How long is the online course? The online course has about, I would say, like 4 or 5 hours of video. So I would do like 1 content category a day, 5 days, you're done. Or if you're someone who likes to binge, you could just throw it into your headphones. Like a lot of people use our online courses as audio courses. So when you sign up for the test, you get 90 days free pre-test taking. I don't know what that means, Samantha. Our online courses don't expire. So if you purchase the online course, it is yours for as long as you need it. A lot of people think that's crazy. Business people tell me that's crazy. I should put a 90-day limit on it. But I feel like if you are struggling, you need the course as long as you need it. I'm not going to take it away from you. So anyways, I'd probably make more money if I had a time limit on it, but I don't really care. I want people to get what they want, get what they need. How long does it take to work through the online course? I'd probably give yourself 5 days. Probably a week with the study guide. I recommend if you get these study guides, please read the entire study guide. People go straight to the practice tests in the back and then they don't get like the important information. I'm going to talk about this later, but you have to understand the concepts and skills. You can't just take practice tests over and over again because we don't know what questions you're going to get on test day. So, and the test is secure. We have no idea. We try to structure our content and our questions similar to the way they do for the Praxis exams, but we have no idea what you're going to get, and neither do you. So memorizing test questions is not a good idea. Dissecting them and understanding why they are what they are is the best way. And then, of course, all the information in the book will help you with the constructed response, because the constructed response is going to pull from the phonemic awareness, phonological awareness, phonics, comprehension, writing. It's going to pull from all that. So if you understand what's going on here, you can answer the constructed response better. All right, so let's do it. Let's get into the presentation. Somebody's asking, is there an online course for special ed? Yes, I have 2 online courses for special ed. We're talking about 5205 today, but I have a 5354 special ed online course and 5543. So just head over to the website, and I'm doing special ed free webinar next. It's February 10th. That's a Saturday. And I'm also doing the 5001. Those of you who need elementary ed, I'm doing that on the 3rd. Okay, so you'll get all that information. You're on our email list. You'll get all of that information. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and start my presentation. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to break down the content categories of the exam. I want you to understand the structure. And then I'm going to talk about the specific things that people get confused on. Typically, people get confused on the difference between phonological awareness, phonemic awareness, and phonics. And I'm going to show you today how to differentiate among the 3. And then we're also going to look at specific practice test questions from the study guide. And then we are going to do 2 constructed responses. And I'm going to show you how to work backwards. Don't worry, for my K-12 people, I have a high school scenario and one of the constructed responses. But even if you're elementary, the application is the same. Okay, so don't worry about that. All right, so here we go. Let me go ahead and share screen. Actually, let me fix my screens because right now I'm all mixed up. Okay, now I have it where I need it. Okay, here we go. All right, so we are working from this free study guide here. Now, I am going to do a few questions from this study guide, but we are also going to work on the overall concepts. I don't want to just do practice test questions. Here's what we're doing. Let's take a look at phonological awareness and phonemic awareness. This is one thing where people get very confused on, especially those of you who are not reading teachers. And a lot of non-reading teachers have to do this test, and it can be difficult. So I like to use this umbrella in my books and on my presentations. Okay. When we talk about phonological and phonemic awareness, we are talking about the foundational skills of learning reading. And this is content category 1. Now, whether you're taking the 5206 or the 5205, this is the same. This is content category 1. And it is all about emergent readers. Now, when we talk about phonological awareness and phonemic awareness, we're talking about sounds only. We are not looking at words, okay? When I was learning how to teach reading, the reading coach who taught us, one of my classes said, you can do phonological and phonemic awareness in the dark, all right? Turn off the lights. You do not have to see the word. It is sounds only and communicating orally. For example, let's talk about phonological awareness here. Phonological awareness is breaking up words by chunks of sounds in the words. Notice that they both have phone in the prefix of the word, or in the, I guess that's the root of the word, that has to do with sound. So phonological awareness would be something like, and I'm going to write it so that you can kind of see it. But if I were doing this with students, I wouldn't be writing it. Okay. I would say to students, say stick, and they would say stick. And I might say stick with just the onset of stick. And they would say st, because the onset is the consonant cluster at the beginning of the word. Onset. Okay. And then the ick would be the rhyme. This is breaking it up with onset and rhyme. Now, you might say that's not how you spell rhyme. It is how you spell rhyme when it comes to this skill. The onset is the consonant or consonant cluster at the beginning of the word, and the rhyme is the vowel sound and the closing consonants. Notice that the word is broken up by 2 sounds, st, ick. That is phonological awareness. I could also say, break up the word apple by syllables, and they might go apple, 2, right? There are lots of ways to break up the word with phonological awareness, but it's typically breaking up larger chunks of the word. Phonemic awareness is when it's much more nuanced. That's why it's under the umbrella here. Phonemic awareness is breaking it up by individual sounds. S, t, I, and I'm going to make this a K sound. K. Notice that it's much more nuanced. I have to break up the S and the T sound because phonemic awareness is each individual sound, whereas phonological awareness is chunks of sounds in the words. Both of them are completely done in the dark. You do not have to see the word. They're done orally and by sound. And they are both foundational skills of it's the start of word recognition. We have to have this before we can have phonics. I'm going to talk to you about what phonics is in a minute. So if you see any test question about sounds only in words, we're talking phonological and phonemic awareness, all right? Phonological, breaking up bigger chunks of the word, st, ick, 2 sounds there. Phonemic awareness, individual sounds in words, st, ick, right? And there are all different ways we can do this. We can do this through deletion. I might say the word bat, and the students say the word bat. And I say the word bat without the b sound. And they would go at. That's a deletion activity. That's a phonemic awareness deletion activity. Could also be considered a phonological awareness activity because you're breaking up. If you took off the B, you'd be taking off the onset. So that could be considered a phonological awareness activity as well. I might say the word Zoom, and the students say Zoom. And I might say the word Zoom without the and they would go Z. Notice that it's just about listening to the sounds, communicating the sounds, and this is the start of word recognition and understanding reading. And it's very, very important. Now, of course, we always teach this systematically and explicitly. That's a big thing on this test. If you see the word systematic, explicit instruction, and I just did a video on this, I think 2 weeks ago, that is probably the correct answer. We do not teach these just by reading words. We have to teach phonological awareness, phonemic awareness explicitly. Then we move on to phonics, which is a systematic way of doing instruction, starting with the lower level skills, phonemic awareness, phonological awareness, and moving into phonics. Okay. Now, phonics is what we call letter sound correspondence. You have to see the letters, and I'm going to just draw a terrible eye here. Boop, 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 boop. You have to see the letter to know what sound it's going to make. With phonics, you're reading words on the page, okay? You're not just doing this orally like you did with phonological awareness and phonics, okay? Now, for example, the letter C in the word cat, cut, cot, and cable makes a k sound because when a C is followed by an A, U, O, it makes a k sound. But the C in the word cell, cycle, receive, and city makes an S sound. How do we know that? Because the phonics rules for C is when it's followed by an E, I, or Y, it makes a S sound. Now, I have to see the word to know that. I have to see that this C is followed by an E here in order for me to know that it makes a S sound, right? So that's phonics. And there's all kinds of rules in phonics. In the word make, this A is long because of this silent E. This is a C, V, C silent E word. There are tons of phonics rules, and we have charts and graphs for all of them in our book. You know, this is how we learn to read. We apply all these letter sound correspondence. Now, sometimes they'll call it grapheme phoneme correspondence. Graph is the written letter. Phoneme is the sound. Okay. So it just depends. But when we're talking about looking at the word, letter sound correspondence, that is phonics. When we're not looking at the word and we're just focusing on sounds, that's phonological and phonemic awareness, right? Let's have a look at what that might look like on the test. So you know that this is number 2 in the study guide. You can follow along with me, or you can have a look in your study guide, whichever one you want to do. So you can see that I always like to go with the answer choices first. I like to look at the item as a whole when I'm taking a test. I have been studying tests for a long time. And for me, working backwards works really, really well. You won't always get the right answer by working backwards, but it definitely helps, especially with the scenario questions. So I can see identifying beginning sounds in words, clapping syllables in words, identifying ending sounds in words, deleting sounds in words. Now, here's one thing to think about. Sounds, sounds, sounds. I'm always looking at patterns on items, and this happens a lot with tests. Notice that A, C, and D all have sounds in the choice. Okay. There's only one that does not have the word sounds. All right. It has clapping syllables in words. Okay. Just something to think about. Let's read the question. Which of the following would not be a systematic instructional strategy used in phonemic awareness? Well, we know phonemic awareness has to do with sounds, sounds, sounds. And we know phonemic awareness has to do with individual sounds. Remember, I said s, t, I, k, right? So the beginning sound, yes, s, in stick. Identifying the ending sounds, k, that's phonemic awareness. Deleting sounds, delete the s in stick, and we get tick, right? So A, B, and D are all phonemic awareness. C is not, oops, sorry, not C, it's B. B is not, because B has to do with, sorry, erase. B has to do with syllables in words. And syllables is phonological awareness. Remember, phonemic awareness is individual sounds in words. Phonological awareness has to do with syllables. So if I said, clap the syllables in apple, the kids might go, apple. Okay. Clap the syllables in stick, and they might just go stick because it's just one syllable, right? Clap the syllables in believe, believe. You're doing the sounds. You can do it by sounds, but you're doing larger chunks of the word. And that's phonological awareness. A, C, and D is phonemic awareness. So it's tricky. You got to know your skills here. And this can be very, very tricky. Okay. Let's have a look at number 4. So this has to do with phonics skills here. All right. So we have, because I can tell by the answer choices, work on silent letters, identify R-controlled vowel sounds, blend long vowel sounds with consonants, identify common vowel combinations. All right. So these are all phonics skills. I know that because there's a chart in my book that outlines all the phonics skills and what step or what stage they are in terms of phonics acquisition. Let's have a look at the question. Students have mastered consonant sounds and short vowel sounds. So consonant sounds are like b, k, s, t, right? V. And short vowel sounds, a, Those are, we're at the beginning of phonics or phonological awareness, depending on what we're doing here. Which of the following would be the most appropriate next step? Oops. My Apple Pencil just got disconnected. Which of the following would be the... Why is my pencil? Hang on one second. Oh man, my pencil is... Okay. Which of the following would be the next step in teaching sequence, in the teaching sequence? Now, we are at the beginning of vowel and consonant sounds here, right? So we've got short vowel sounds. What comes after short vowel sounds? Well, the next thing would be blend long vowel sounds and long vowel sounds with consonants here, okay? So this is going to be the next. Silent letters would probably come after blending long and vowel sounds because we still want to work on those long vowel sounds. We don't really know why they're long yet. Silent letters, we know that silent letters, something like that could be M-A-K-E, right? And that would be the long vowel sound there. But silent letters could also be like this in the word no, right? The K is silent. That is more advanced than blending long vowel sounds with consonants, okay? So this right here, consonant sounds and short vowel sounds, that would be something like cat, right? Or mat, short vowel sounds with consonants. We would then move to something like make or bake, and that would be C. Silent letters is way higher up. Our controlled vowel sounds, that's something like letter, our controlled vowels, all right, or our controlled syllables. And identifying common vowel combinations, that's also up there. Those are the O, U, E, A, I, E. Vowel combinations is way more advanced. We're still at the beginning stages here with short vowel sounds and consonants. We're going to go with C as the next step, okay? All right. All right, now we are going to get into comprehension. This is number 11, and we are going with, this could be high school, this could be middle or elementary school, looking at the scenario here. Now, this is a great one to work backwards with. I always tell people, work backward when you see a question like this, because 9 times out of 10, you can zero in on good words in the answer choices and, eliminate some of the extra work. If you start up here, and then you read the scenario, and then you read all the answer choices, you're going to have to go back into here and read the scenario again, I guarantee. So save yourself time, read the answer choices first. Let's go with A. The teacher should have the student focus on spelling because spelling is phonics, and phonics is a necessary part of the comprehension process. Okay, that is true. Spelling is phonics, and it is a necessary part of comprehension. All right, I like it. I don't love it because spelling... There's more to phonics than spelling, but it's definitely a contender. B, the teacher should have the student take a diagnostic test and then have the reading coach work with the student. Right away, boom, crossing it off. B has bad words in it. Do we use the reading coach? Absolutely. Reading coaches are amazing. They help us every day in our reading classes. On this test, it's typically not the correct answer because you are the reading teacher and we need you to differentiate and work with students, okay? Diagnostic test is good because I have a lot about assessments in the book, and assessments are very important in reading, but then pawning the kid off on the reading coach, no. C, the teacher should use a running record, okay, that measures fluency, to record the miscues a student demonstrates during a 1-minute read aloud. Okay, C is all right as well. I like it. I'm going to leave it. D, the teacher should focus on fluency and automaticity strategies, okay, for this student because proper fluency and automaticity will reduce the cognitive demand needed for decoding, leaving more cognitive space for comprehension. D has a lot of good words in it. We have reducing the cognitive demand. We have the word comprehension, automaticity. I like D better than A and C, but let's go ahead and read the question first. But notice I got rid of B. I've zeroed it on D, and all I have to do is eliminate A and C. I'm in a better position because I work backward. A student is struggling during reading. The student often stops when encountering high-frequency words and tries to decode them. This interrupts the reading and makes it difficult for the student to understand the meaning of the text. Okay, this is comprehension, understanding the meaning of the text. Which of the following interventions should the teacher employ? All right, the student is having trouble with fluency, specifically high-frequency words. Now, typically, and some teachers will disagree with this, typically we do not focus on the spelling of high-frequency words. A lot of times we want to memorize high-frequency words. Now, there is a move away from that. There is some research out there that says we should be decoding high-frequency words. I have not seen that on this exam to reflect that. I just want to say that before somebody gets into my comments and says, you shouldn't use memorization. I think memorization of high frequency words is very beneficial because it helps with automaticity. I'm going to cross off A because the spelling of high frequency words is not going to be the best thing here, all right? C, the teacher should use a running record to record the miscues. That could help, but not as much as automaticity and fluency skills. We need this kid to be moving through the text more quickly. We need the student to memorize the high frequency words, use repeated reading automaticity strategies so that the student can free up the cognitive demand and focus on comprehension rather than trying to decode every single word. And that's why D is the best answer here. So this has to do with comprehension, and comprehension has to do with higher order thinking. We're moving out of phonics, out of fluency, and we're moving into metacognition. When you see the words cognitive, comprehension, all of those go together because we are teaching students how to use their brain, how to make pictures in their minds, how to read text and understand it. All right, let's have a look at number 12 here. So I'm jumping ahead. Answer choices. Encourage students to memorize portions of the text. No. Do we memorize high frequency words? Yes. Do we memorize portions of the text? No. B, encourage students to ask questions about the text. Yes, I love asking questions about the text. Asking questions is a higher order thinking skill. It promotes metacognition, comprehension. I like B. I'm going to underline it. C, encourage students to partner read the text. Okay, partner reading is great. You and your partner read together. I read a paragraph, you read a paragraph. It's a great strategy. I don't love it as much as B, but I'll keep it. D, encourage students to read the text for homework. Nope. Homework, bad word on the exam. Cross it off. Let's go with this here. Which of the following would be most effective in developing students' comprehension of complex text? Comprehension is all about asking questions. People ask me this a lot about the constructed response. I got a constructed response about comprehension. What can I do? For strategies, questioning is the number one, in my mind, the number one comprehension strategy you can do. You asking students comprehension questions is great, but also having students generate their own questions and ask their own questions, using a graphic organizer to generate questions and then organize the questions and then answer the questions while reading. All of that promotes analytical thinking, higher order thinking, and helps the student understand the text, which is what we want. Comprehension is the essence of reading. That's what we want. Okay, this one's a long one, and this is where working backwards is really, really important, okay? Because you can get lost in an item like this. Okay, here we go. Let's take a look at this. Determine the author's point of view, identify the literary devices used in the work, determining whether the source is reliable. This is a good word, especially if we're talking about writing and the author's, like your source and what's going on. C is jumping out to me. D, determine the text structure of the work. Okay. Which of the following research skills is the teacher helping the student understand? Well, one of the biggest research skills here is determining if sources are reliable. So I don't even have to read all this up here. I can just go with this. Now, I do think you should read it just to check and make sure, but you can see, where did the information come from? A blog, an academic journal, etc. Is there a list of references or a bibliography? Does the URL contain .gov, .edu, .net, or .com? Is the piece a primary or secondary source? These are all things that lead to the text's reliability. And no, I don't even have to read the question based on that. All right. So definitely work backwards when you see big items like this. And the last one before we get into the constructed response. This question's pretty short, so we'll just read the question first. Which of the following is most important for students to consider when writing? A, the ability to adapt communication about audience, task, purpose, and discipline. A is jumping out to me because, according to the Common Core standards in writing, students must be able to write to a specific audience, task, and have a purpose and or discipline, whether it's science writing or social studies writing or whatever. This is the most important thing about writing, and it's outlined in all of the National English Language Arts standards for writing. B, the ability to use transition words. Transition words is good. It's part of it, but it is not the most important part. B is out. C, the ability to use proper grammar and punctuation. Well, I believe this is very important, but this is not the most important part about writing. We have a lot of tools that can check our grammar and punctuation. And so really what we need to be skilled at is organizing our writing and making sure we understand the audience. Who are we writing to? Why are we writing it? What are we trying to say? And how do we organize it properly so that the person reading it can understand it? So C is out, even though I'm a total grammar nerd and I wish they taught more grammar. D, the ability to organize paragraphs so the writing has continuity. D is important, but not as important as A. D would be the distractor. And the distractor is the almost correct answer, okay? So D is out. A is the best answer here, and that brings us to the end of the multi here. And see if we have any questions. I see you guys are playing along. People are answering the questions. Very good. All right. Looks like you guys don't have a lot of questions here, but if you do, just throw them in the chat and we will have a look at those. I am going to be working on now the constructed response. And in this presentation, I have two. In the study guide that you guys downloaded for this particular webinar, there's only one. But I'll send you both of them in the email, follow-up email. Remember, in about an hour, you're going to get an email from me that gives you everything we talked about today, okay? Now, for the constructed response, two things. Number one, you have to understand what's in the study guide. Doing practice tests over and over again is not going to help you with the constructed response. Understanding the concepts laid out in the study guide, understanding phonics skills, phonological awareness skills, phonemic awareness skills, and being able to identify deficits and then prescribe interventions is going to help you. And it's all laid out in the book. Of course, comprehension and writing. You have to understand a lot of what we talked about with comprehension and writing. So that's very, very important. So please read the information in the book before you start to tackle the constructed response. The second thing about the constructed response, you have to practice. So you might be a really good writer, and I hear this a lot from test takers, and they say, I am like a writer. I took journalism classes in college, and I didn't get a good grade on the writing. This is a very specific type of writing. And really, less is more when it comes to the constructed response. You want to organize your writing in a way that shows the grader exactly what you're trying to do and what you're trying to say very quickly so they can identify. If you're going on in a tangent about, I don't even know, don't. Get in and get out. And I'm going to show you exactly how to do that, okay? And the third thing is you're going to want to work backwards on the constructed response as well. So on the constructed response, there will be a task. And at the task, you're going to start there first before reading. Let me show you what I mean. So this is the first constructed response. I apologize for all the text on the screen. Obviously, it's very hard to do these without a lot of text on the screen, but I want you to see everything. So this is a typical constructed response. And you can see here, we have the task. All right. So I want you to start with the task first, because a lot of times we can figure out what to write about before we even get into the scenario. And then when we read the scenario, we already have the purpose for reading and writing. Okay. So task, identify 2 strategies Mr. Payton can use to increase students' comprehension skills. All right. Comprehension skills. I don't need to read the scenario to identify 2 strategies for comprehension skills. Right away, my mind goes to read aloud, think aloud. And it goes to questioning. Remember, I told you questioning is really important in comprehension. 1, 2. So all the task number 1 says is identify 2 strategies. Okay. Now I am going to get a little bit specific. I'm not just going to say I would use read aloud, think aloud, and questioning. I'm going to talk a little bit more about it, and I'm going to show you that in a second. But right now that task is done without me even having to read the scenario and get all messed up in the scenario. And then here, provide a rationale for each strategy. Easy, easy, easy. Okay. So there's a couple ways to do this. First, no matter what, this constructed response is going to be 2 paragraphs. Why? Because there are 2 tasks. So when you have 2 tasks, I recommend 2 paragraphs. If you have 3, I recommend 3 paragraphs. You probably won't have more than 3 tasks on this. Okay. So the reason why is because it breaks it up and shows the grader of your essay exactly what you're trying to do. All right. So I'm going to go with 2 paragraphs. And for me, paragraph 1 is going to be strategy number 1, and paragraph number 2 is going to be strategy number 2. Now, sometimes it makes sense to do paragraph 1 for the first bullet and paragraph 2 for the second bullet. But for this, because there are 2 strategies and a rationale, I could do paragraph 1, strategy, rationale, paragraph 2, strategy, rationale. That's how I would do it here. But you could do it any way you want. All right. Now, let's read the scenario. Even though I really don't need to, let's read the scenario. Oh, it should be, this says Mr. Simpson and this says Mr. Payton. Sorry, it should match, okay? So let's make this Mr. Simpson. Mr. Simpson is a 4th grade reading teacher. As he and his students read through the text, Mr. Simpson notices many of his students struggle to comprehend the text's main idea and key details. Based on previous assessments, Mr. Simpson knows his students have a solid grasp of phonics and vocabulary skills. All right, so they're good with phonics and vocab, but they're struggling with comprehension. Okay, got it. I didn't even really need to read that. I know that I'm going to go with these 2 strategies here. All right, let's take a look at what I would do. Now, again, you might have a journalism degree, you might have a creative writing degree. We are not dealing with that. We are going straight to identify what we're doing immediately and then give some specific details right away. Boom. Paragraph number 1. The first strategy, Mr. Payton, it should say Mr. Simpson. I'm sorry. We're going to change him to Mr. Payton. The first strategy Mr. Payton can use, or you could say the teacher can use to help students comprehend text, is read aloud, think aloud to increase metacognition. Now, here's the thing. In the study guide, I attach metacognition to comprehension over and over and over and over again in the study guide. So I know that if I'm talking about comprehension, I need to talk about metacognition, all right? Now I get a little bit specific. This is a general statement. Now I'm going to drill down because they do want specific details. He and his students can read the text aloud together. Then Mr. Payton can model good word. We want to use good words in our answers when we write this, and modeling is a good word when it comes to explicit instruction. His thinking process aloud. So he's going to model what he's thinking aloud. For example, here we get more specific. That's very important. When reading aloud, Mr. Payton can model how he summarizes, predicts, and processes the story. Notice that I just used some specific comprehension skills there. This shows the grader that I have content knowledge. I got specific, and the fact that I know that comprehension is summarizing, predicting, and processing the story is going to score me points. He can say, that is interesting. I wonder why the main character acted like that. Perhaps that will be answered later in the story. So I got specific on what he would say. He can also use think aloud. He can also think aloud when he gets to difficult parts of the text. And here comes the rationale. Read aloud, think aloud is one of the most effective ways to increase metacognition and essential skill and comprehension. So not only did I name the strategy, I got specific in terms of what it is and even gave some examples of how to use it. And then I gave the rationale. It increases metacognition and is essential for reading comprehension. Task or strategy 1, check. Next. Strategy 2. The next strategy Mr. Payton can use to help students comprehend the text is question generation. This is all over the study guide as well. If we're talking about comprehension, we're talking about question generation. Mr. Payton can use a KWL chart and to help students organize their questions. Also in the study guide, lots of KWL charts, lots of graphic organizers. KWL is a great questioning graphic organizer. And then I go in to explain it. For example, good word to use, letting the grader know that we are getting specific. Students can fill out the K part of the KWL chart, which is what do you want? What do you already know about the topic? The K is the know. What do you already know? This will help activate background knowledge and schema, which is key to understanding the text. Next, they will fill out the W part of the chart. What do we want to know? What do we want to know when we read it? This will help students generate questions. Boom, there's my question generation. They want to answer as they read. Finally, after they are done reading, they can answer the L part. What did we learn by reading the text? This will help them summarize the text and reflect upon important information when they acquire during reading. Okay, so I got the strategy, specific parts of the strategy, and the rationale. And this would definitely be a pass, okay? Simple language, giving some examples. You don't even have to go this in depth. These could probably be even shorter, but I just wanted to give you a number of ways to do it. All right, let's take a look at a high school example. So if you're taking the K-12, this is going to be that there. All right, so again, we're working backwards, starting with the task. Describe 3 strategies Ms. Jackson can use with her students to help them conduct scholarly research. Include in your response how she will use these strategies, okay? And then identify 2 research methods to help students cite properly and avoid plagiarism. Okay, so there are 2 things going on here. We need 3 strategies to help students conduct scholarly research, and then we need 2 research methods specifically for citing sources. All right, so this one's going to be 2 paragraphs. So the 3 strategies I'm probably going to use are how to search information on academic journals. I'm probably going to show them how to synthesize information. I might even model the research process. The 2 research methods to avoid plagiarism is going to be how to summarize and cite properly. So I'm going to focus on MLA citations, APA citations, and I might even show them a plagiarism checker or something like that, an online resource that might help them. Technology and writing is a big component of this exam, and we do go over that in the book. So you may want to integrate that if you have something like, how can we avoid plagiarism? Well, we can use technology to do that. All right. So let's have a look and see how I broke that up. All right. So here's the first paragraph. 3 strategies, Ms. Jackson, can you, oh, did I read the scenario? Sorry, I worked backwards. I didn't read the scenario. Hang on. Let's read the scenario. Ms. Jackson is a 9th grade social studies teacher helping students with a research project on the New Deal. During the research process, Ms. Jackson has students use a variety of print and electronic resources to find information. In addition, Ms. Jackson will have the students present their research to class. All right. Glad we read the scenario. We really didn't need to, but it's good to know this is a 9th grade social studies class. That'll help give some context to it. All right, so I'm breaking it up into 2 strategies or 2 paragraphs. The first one is going to be my 3 strategies for research, and the second one is going to be the 2 strategies for citing and avoiding plagiarism. 2 very important things we need to do in research. Okay, getting right into it. The first strategy Ms. Jackson can employ is modeling the research process. Listen, if you're ever stuck on this stuff, make your first one modeling. Modeling is explicit instruction. It's so important in teaching. I know you do it all the time. When you stand in the front of the room and you show students how to do something, that's modeling. Name it, claim it, put it in the put it in the writing. Okay. So maybe you were like, oh God, I know 2 strategies. What could be my 3rd strategy? Modeling, model comprehension, model phonics, model writing, model. That can be one of the strategies. Okay. And with a focus on credibility and relevance, she can use explicit instruction, more good words, to show students how to discern scholarly sources from those less credible. Okay. If this were a phonics one, she can use explicit instructions to show students how to use phonics rules when decoding words. Modeling can be applied to any constructed response. Okay. She can do this by evaluating resources and looking over their bibliographies. Okay. Again, getting more specific. Strategy number 2, another strategy she can use is to show students how to use research journals. She can show students how to access journals like EBSCOhost and ProQuest. Now, these are scholarly sources. Some of you in graduate school, you have had just about enough of ProQuest and EBSCOhost. When I no longer have my subscriptions because after my doctorate, I got rid of it because I was done looking at academic journals. But I still access them here and there to do my own research. But EBSCOhost and ProQuest are available to students in all high schools, pretty much, I would assume. And we can show them how to find scholarly academic journals, not blogs off the internet. Okay. Lastly, here's the 3rd one. Ms. Jackson can introduce the concept of synthesis, teaching students how to integrate information from multiple sources to construct a cohesive understanding. Okay, those are my 3 things: modeling, finding academic journals online, and how to synthesize all of this information we get here. Okay. And then I get a little more specific. She can show students how to move beyond data collection to a more sophisticated level. You don't even need this. I'm just putting in the fluff there. Really, we could be done with the synthesis sentence. All right, paragraph number 2. Now we're talking about helping students avoid plagiarism and cite properly. To ensure academic integrity in their research, Ms. Jackson must introduce 2 key research methods to her students: proper citation and plagiarism checkers. Teaching students the mechanic of citation styles such as MLA and APA provides a framework for crediting the original authors. Okay, so I did say proper citation. That's too general. Let's dig in. MLA and APA. Understanding how to correctly cite sources not only helps in avoiding plagiarism, but also aids in establishing the scholarly voice. Furthermore, incorporating plagiarism checkers as a regular step in the research process is both a deterrent and an educational tool. It allows students to check their work, blah, blah, blah. These methods are critical in any research-based project, ensuring students build respect for intellectual property and maintain the highest standards. Okay, I got a little wordy on that. You could just say, we're going to do proper in-text citations and bibliographies using APA formatting or MLA formatting. She is a social studies teacher, so it would probably be APA, but either way, they're not going to dock you for that, like whether you choose APA or MLA. You could say something like, she should teach students how to correctly cite in text and also on their reference pages. And then you could use the plagiarism checker to make sure they're not copying. We would show them how to check for plagiarism in their own work. It's not enough for us to just play gotcha with the kids and say, oh, you plagiarized. I checked it. It's 50% plagiarized or 80% plagiarized. Show students how to throw their work in these plagiarism checkers. And especially now with ChatGPT and everything else, show students how to check to make sure that they're not violating any copyright. Very, very important. All right. So that brings us to the end. Let's just have a look here. We've got a lot of questions here. A couple people said they missed it by 2 points. That's okay. Provide them with questions. Okay, I feel confident after this. I can't believe how much I know. Good, Willie. You should feel confident. Keep reading the book. I have a lot of videos on YouTube that can help you. This is just about learning new stuff. And whether you're a reading teacher or not, understanding the foundations of reading and writing is going to make you a better content area teacher. I was a science teacher. We read and wrote every day in science. Scientists read and write. Historians read and write. It's very, very important. Now, I understand math is a little different. You guys are like, we do math. I get it. But you have some hefty word problems and things like that. And some of these strategies would work for that. Okay. Does your husband still do math? He does. He's actually taken a break. He's working a lot on grant writing and things like that. So, he is taking a break from math, but he's still a math teacher, of course. And when I have questions, when I'm writing a study guide, I always go to him. All right. I am not good at spelling. Any suggestions? Well, practice your spelling and your phonics. If you read through, I will tell you, reading through the phonics section of this has made me a better speller. But you need to keep, if you're talking about for the constructed response, keep your language simple and go back and proof. You're not going to fail based on spelling unless it's like a ton of spelling errors. Okay. For elementary, does the gradual release model work for follow under modeling? Yes, absolutely. I do is the model. So Willie's asking about the gradual release. That's the I do, we do, you do model. Okay. So the I do is the teacher. I'm doing it. I am demonstrating it to you. I am modeling it. Okay. Then we do it together. Right? So we might do it together as a class, or I might put you into cooperative groups and you might do it in cooperative groups. All right. Then the you do, now I release you on your own to try it on your own. And that there is absolutely modeling in that. Okay. I need help with test anxiety. All right. Test anxiety really quick. First of all, you can take this test as many times as you need to. All right. I know some states have limited it, but you can take this test as many times as you need. It's expensive. I understand. It's not nice that it's this expensive and everything else. But if you go in there thinking this test defines me, I'm a loser. Oh my God, I can only take it once. That's not reality. The reality is you can take it as many times as you want. Number two, you do not need an A on this test. You need a high D. Most standardized assessments, you need a high D, like a 68 or a 69. I recommend getting 75% correct on the practice test in the book before you go in and take the exam, but you need a D to pass. So just try to take this, this unrealistic expectation off of you. If you fail, go in and take it again. 50% of new teachers fail their teacher certification exams. They're not easy tests. So get through it. And then when you get through it, you can talk to your students about it. I don't know, if go for a run beforehand, listen to music you like beforehand. Test anxiety is really about having unrealistic expectations on ourselves. If you fail, take it again. You'll be all right. Do you have any guides for pre-K3 certification? Yes, we do have the 5025. That's the Praxis Early Childhood. I just did that webinar last week. It's on my webinars page. Let me show you guys where to find some free resources since we are getting some questions about that. Okay. So on my website here, you can see we have all of our study guides. So go into our study guides and we have a ton. This is just a few. We have PLT, we have Praxis Core, we have middle school English, we have the other elementary education exams, PE, special ed, okay? We also have tons of online courses. We have the leadership. We have so many things. Now, on my free webinars page, this is the webinar we're doing right now, but I also have free webinars from before. So I just did an early childhood 5025 last week. Go check that out. And the week before that, I did the 6990. I do webinars 3 weekends out of the month. I take the last weekend of the month off usually. So all of these, I have a how to lesson plan webinar, how to start your school year off with success. This is all about classroom management, Praxis Core, the other elementary exams, the 5001. I'm doing 5001 on February 3rd again. So these are all free webinars. You can also go to my YouTube channel. And you can see I'm live there. But if you're looking for more test strategy and reading, these two playlists, test strategy and teaching reading, are going to help you tremendously. We will link that up in the email. Okay, so these are really good playlists for you to help you with your certification exams. The teaching reading is like a huge course, and there are tons of, this one gets a lot of views, this phonemic awareness, phonological awareness. Now I'm also on TikTok. I really want to encourage you guys to go to my TikTok page. I do shorter videos there, but you can see I do practice test questions and all kinds of different things there. I'm trying to do shorter content there. And then, of course, our Facebook page. So that works as well. Lots of free stuff. Lots of ways to get the content. How long would you recommend studying? I would say at least a week to 2 weeks for this test. How much studying should we do? I can't tell you how much studying you need because I don't know your skill level. The thing that I recommend you do is read the whole book. I know nobody wants to read. It's like a textbook and we don't usually, but everything in the book is important. So take your time, take it one section at a time. Do one section a day or one section every 2 days. Give yourself time to get through it. So it is a lot, especially if you're a brand new teacher, but it's going to help you be a good teacher too. These books, people have told me that they have become better teachers because of it, because there's lots of strategies and things like that. All right. So I am at 11:03, which means I'm pretty much on time. I really hope that you guys enjoyed this webinar today. Don't forget, you're getting an email from me as soon as this webinar concludes. We will send it out. It's going to have an offer code to use on our website. We cannot do discounts on Amazon, but if you want a physical book, just click that Amazon. Oh, I also have one more thing. I forgot to tell you guys this. Hang on. I have a new book called Teach a Survival Guide for new teachers or for new educators. It's got a lot of really good 5-star ratings. People really like the book. It's helped them. Everything in here from reading strategies, how to do well on your teacher evaluations, how to lesson plan, classroom management. There's a huge chunk on classroom management. I share funny stories about my own teaching career and all of that. I recommend you get this. We will link that up in the email as well. But if you just go to Teach a Survival Guide for New Educators by Kathleen Jasper, this will come up and you can get it. If you have Kindle Unlimited, you can just get it on your Kindle Unlimited. So that works too. Or you can get it in a physical copy or on your Kindle. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much. Yes, Honey Morales, the 20% is applicable to the online course. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Can we use the offer code on a different study guide? Yeah, you can use the offer code on anything. It works on anything. All right. You made it look easy. You are very fluid with the information. Well, thank you so much. That is because I've been studying education for a long time. And so if it's okay if you're not there yet, this is something I do on a regular basis. It's my job. So thank you so much for attending today. I really appreciate it. Good luck on your exams. Let us know if you have any questions, and I'll see you in 2 weeks, February 3rd, 2024 for Praxis Elementary Education 5001. And that will work for all elementary education exams. All right. All right. Thanks, Melissa. Bye, guys. Have a wonderful